A big return for the New York Liberty, and Stephanie Kaloi is here to talk about all things women's basketball, including, let's get Alyssa Thomas some extra attention. Locked On Women's Basketball starts now.
You are Locked On Women's Basketball, your daily podcast on women's basketball. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Locked On Women's Basketball. I'm your host, Howard Megdal, and I want to thank you for making us your first listen every day. Over 350,000 of you showed up in June alone, the way we show up for you 6 days a week. It is, of course, not just me. It is the incredible team across the board at The Next. I really encourage you to subscribe. $9 a month, $72 a year. We have people like Stephanie Kaloi, who does a little bit of everything. She's writing on the SEC for us. She's writing trend stories on the WNBA side. She's going to cover Athletes Unlimited. I mean, Stephanie, for you, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, but, you know, how important is it that we see the support for women's basketball outlets who do this kind of coverage?
It's incredibly important. I mean, I love receiving like emails, comments, any kind of indication that people are reading the work and they support the work. I think it also fuels us when we're out there, we're on the court, we're in the field. We want to ask the right questions. We want to get the information people want to know, and we want to be fun. It's everything.
We are all here for you. Be here for us. thenexthoops.com. And speaking of folks at The Next who are out in the field, Jackie Powell, our New York Liberty beat reporter, you see her on alternating Fridays as well here at Locked On Women's Basketball, was able to get some information about Jonquel Jones. Let's hear it from Jackie, and then we're going to talk about it.
Hi, Locked On Women's Basketball. It's Jackie Powell reporting live from the Barclays Center, where I just spoke to Liberty Center Jonquel Jones at practice, who updated us on her health. She told us she will make her return to the court on July 22nd when the Liberty take on the Fever again at home. Let's hear from JJ.
Feel great. I feel great. Where do you feel like you're at, like percentage-wise in your rehab as opposed to kind of your return point?
99.999999999%. So on that note, do you feel comfortable saying that you'll be ready to go first game after the All-Star break? Is that your...
Yeah, for sure.
You love to see it. Again, I can't do the math 100%, but I think it rounds up to 100%. So, Stephanie, let's start here and just talk a little bit about what this means. You know, from my perspective, the New York Liberty with Jonquel Jones early this season, off to a 9-0 start, were the best team or the co-best team right there with the Minnesota Lynx, living up to capacity, even though they were incorporating some new folks into it. Jackie's got a great story on what this means. You can read over at thenexthoops.com. From your perspective, than this is for the Liberty to achieve the goal that they have set, which is a repeat.
Absolutely. I mean, I think the Liberty, it's their season to give up. You know, they entered the season as the defending champions. They did have that 9-0 record. JJ is a huge part of what pushes them over the edge. If she's back, I think they're back. I won't be surprised if it's domination. Like I fear for the Fever. So
it will be really interesting to see. And, you know, again, Jackie had some points in her story just to sort of elaborate on it. The amount of open looks that Brianna Stewart gets drops pretty dramatically when JJ is out of the lineup. Same with Sabrina. You know, I wrote about this at the time that the deal was made over at the 9, where we have Basketball Wednesday. Just the fact that having multiple MVPs in your starting lineup is just something you can't easily replicate. And so Yara Sabli has done a really good job. And I think she deserves a ton of credit for how she's developed as a player. It's really significant. But at the same time, there's nothing quite like Jonquel Jones. Now, that said, and we'll get into more down the line. And of course, you know, we're going to have a lot of coverage about JJ over the coming months. There's also nothing like Alyssa Thomas. And so when you and I were talking ahead of this, we actually had Hope Perry on the show yesterday. We talked about Angel Reese. And I pointed out that Angel Reese is developing in such a way that is really significant, really ultimately speaks to the great potential long-term future for the Sky. I mean, that was the number one thing that had to happen. She had to develop offensively, and she has as a passer. She's now north of 20% in terms of her assist percentage. Alyssa Thomas is leading the lead in assists, while Powell in Phoenix to a record that is a half a game ahead of New York. So take me through, in your view, is Alyssa Thomas the MVP if the season ended today?
Yes. Yes. And I will say again, I believe Asia Wilson, it's her crown to pass on if she chooses. I think Nafisa Collier, there's an excellent case to be made. But when I see AT play basketball, like I stop breathing. I forget how to. Like she's incredible. I don't think there's anyone to compare her to at this point. She is double doubles. She feeds everyone the ball. When Coach Tippett said at the beginning of the season, we're going to play positionless basketball, I immediately was like, well, there's 3 different roles AT can fill, kind of in the same span of time. She's MVP for me. Like if we ended it right now, that's my vote.
It's really interesting. There are a lot of different ways you can look at it. I said Nafisa Collier at the start of the year. I still think it's Nafisa Collier. You go by win shares, and she leads the league in win shares. What she's doing efficiency-wise is even at another level. To me, it's less that is Alyssa Thomas MVP or not. The best year she had, she was 3rd on my ballot in MVP. And there was no slight of her, but Breanna Stewart and Asia Wilson doing it differently, they were, to my mind, slightly ahead. Right. You can visibly see in Breanna Stewart and Asia Wilson other players who have come before them, which is to say, you didn't see some Elena Deladon in what Stewie does. You didn't see some Candace Parker in what Stewie does. And Asia Wilson, similar, like the very best of these, like 4 or 5s, although she's more of a hybrid, and even you have to make some NBA comparisons, not because of men's basketball being better, but very simply that the NBA moved to positionless basketball about 5 to 10 years ahead of when the WNBA did it. As the NBA is doing this, I remember this vividly. Like I'm covering Brooke Lopez becoming a 3-point shooter. It was at the same time that Mike Tebow was talking to me about how he's going to do the same thing with Stephanie Dolson and Emma Mieseman. Going to send them overseas to learn how to shoot 3-pointers, and it followed. All of which is to say, there are some comps. There are no comps for Alyssa Thomas. And by the way, there are no comps for Alyssa Thomas on the NBA side either. It should not be that someone her size leads the league in assists and is simultaneously capable of defending your best perimeter player or your best interior player. And so I understand the point that you're making. It is just, Fee and what she's doing on a 19-4 team. Fee has a 62.4% true shooting percentage. I had to go back to it to look at it again. So I'm just like, really, is that possible? She's right there with Aaliyah Boston, who's having a great year as well. I think I got to give it to Fee right now. But the good news is, of course, there's a long season to go. Is Fee second on your ballot?
Absolutely, honestly, and there's no Fee slander in my household because I love her. She would be second because I think her season, it's what everything you're saying, like she is undeniable. And I think when you go by also all the technicalities, it probably is her. I just can't. I see AT play, and like you said, I can't draw from any kind of comparison at this point. What she's doing to me is pushing the game forward. Like she's incredible.
I will just say, we're going to normalize not having someone second on your MVP ballot as slander.
That's what I hesitated.
I need
number 2.
I need the world to start understanding that this is not everyone can be first, and that if I've got someone on my all WNBA first team with this lead, with this talent, that is not negativity. I don't know how we ended up
I'm here for that normalization.
I kind of know how we ended up there, but we shouldn't end up there. All right. So much more with Stephanie Kaloi to get to. We're going to talk more about Coach of the Year stuff, preseason trade regrets, and we'll talk about some happiness that goes along with it too. I'm Howard Megdal. You're listening to Locked On Women's Basketball. But first, Locked On Women's Basketball is brought to you by Monarch Money. Now, do you ever wish managing your money felt easier? Monarch Money makes that possible. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. Here's how you do it. Take control right now. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNBA for half off your first year. Monarch Money. Howard Megdal here, Locked On Women's Basketball, back with Stephanie Kaloi, who writes about everything for us, for everyone. I'm in awe of how many places your byline is, and I love to see it. I want to talk Coach of the Year stuff because, again, and you came in hot with the takes when we were talking about this stuff in Slack, going ahead of time. Who is your Coach of the Year?
Natalie Nakase. Hands down.
It's really hard to argue. Go ahead. I want to make your case.
That's what I was going to say. I think she came into the league, an expansion team. Everyone was basing their expectations off of 2008. She built a team based on culture. She said over and over and over, this is not stars, not any other factor other than we want this to feel like home for the fans, for the players. And she is true to her word. She is producing the results she promised. The Valkyries have defied, I think, everyone's expectation. I do want to note late December 2024, I said they would go to the playoffs. I was already hooked, I was in from the beginning, but she is incredible. I don't know if there's a team that plays as cohesively as they play. There's not a big personality dominating, everyone supporting everyone. You see Kate Martin plays a bunch of minutes one game, and then when maybe her size doesn't match up against a different team, she's not in, and no one's complaining, no one's upset. I don't know everything that they've done there, but the mentality is so strong, and I just think it's a credit to her.
Just a few points on this where I don't disagree with the thing you said, and just the numbers reinforce it. They are 10 and 11 right now. You go by net rating, they are a positive, a plus 1.9. So this is not some fluke occurrence. They are legitimately playing this well. Now, they have lost 4 or 5, and so there's been a little bit of a backslide. They were as high as the 6th seed overall. But the cohesiveness you talk about, that's the part that really blows me away because, number one, as everybody knows, they are an expansion team. Right. So this is year one. And I've spoken on this program so many times about the fact that to win a championship, it's really hard to do in year one when you put everything together. Atlanta, in year one of sort of this new base of operations, I think it's going to be hard for Atlanta to win it all for precisely that reason. Every one of these teams that was put together for 2025 is going to face potentially this issue in 2026 when everyone in the league, except for rookie scale contracts and Lexi and Kalani Brown, are free agents. And so you put all that together, and then you add Eurobasket. Golden State lost 37 of their players. They're in Eurobasket, right? Do I have that right? If I counted, maybe I was a lit major in college.
It was a lot. I want to say yes.
It was a lot. It may not have been 37, but it was definitely a lot of players. And they didn't miss a beat. Truly, like I covered them when they came through New York a few weeks ago and gave New York, by the way, at home, everything they could handle. And it was just like, all right, this is a nice little early season story, but I don't expect that to continue once they're down, half their roster. And they didn't really miss a beat. In fact, this recent slide has come as people have come back. So anyway, I say all that to say, I agree with all of that but 10 and 11, right? They are absolutely, as of right now, they're 10 and 11. Washington is somehow 11 and 10. Indiana is 11 and 10. Aces are 10 and 11. Only 3 of those 4 are going to make the playoffs.
Right.
People assume Vegas will make the playoffs. People assume Indiana will make the playoffs. The Mystics are playing probably better, the best of the 4 right now, if we're looking at it. So in the event they don't make the playoffs, they come that close, but they don't make the playoffs. Is she still your coach of the year at that point?
My heart wants to say yes.
I know. I like Natalie too. I feel
yeah, my
I
heart
feel
wants to say I just love the Valkyries. To your point a minute ago too, like not only have their players, they built this expansion team, the European players haven't played together that much either. So they brought Europeans, they had Americans, amazing. But if they don't make the playoffs, I may swing over to Smesko's camp. I love everything the Dream is doing. I think it's incredible. I think the last time the Dream was on anyone's radar was 2018, 2019. They had that back-to-back.
Mm-hmm.
He's got BG shooting threes and making them. Like, I don't know what he has infused into this team, but I think his free agency decisions were underrated. Mm-hmm. I think the Dream was sort of on everyone's periphery, but not taken as seriously as they should have. And I would absolutely have him. He would probably shoot to the top of my list.
I will say, I think if they are a top 4 seed and Golden State doesn't make the playoffs, you have to strongly consider making him your coach of the year. I think, give you a couple other thoughts, right? What Nate Tibbetts is doing in Phoenix, if they end up top 1, 2, I think that's a conversation you have to have. Because again, we talked about Alyssa Thomas is a ridiculous talent. Satu Sabali is a ridiculous talent as well. But you're putting everyone together in year 1, and that's not easily done. And so that's significant. I would be remiss not to point this out. There's this team that's 19 and 4. That seems good,
champion, right? Like, Cheryl, this would be her 5th, I think, if she
it
got
would be her 5th. There are those in Minnesota who would point to the last minute 20 of the 2016 season and game 5 of the 2024 season, the way it was officiated specifically, and say this would technically be their 7th, but yes, legally would only be their 5th. But again, we make these calls at the end of the regular season, and I'm amused by this. I've been in this a minute, and every year we've run into this problem, which is to say that, like, wow, we can't give that coach from Minnesota too much credit, because look at the job that GM in Minnesota did, putting together that team. And it's always sort of amusing to me that, like, coach of the year and executive of the year in Minnesota are these essentially zero-sum battles that take away from the total award haul that Cheryl Reeve gets. I mean, someday when she's in Springfield, you can talk about the fact that, she built and coached those teams year after year that were winning championships, were in the finals, all of these different things. But we can't go without mentioning her. I think it's significant. I listen.
Absolutely.
I have Sandy Brondello has that team top 3 right now, a half a game out of second, and has been without Jonquel Jones, who we talked about at the top, is so important for much of that year. So there's a lot to choose from. It's really going to be interesting. I'm fascinated by all of it. I mean, this season feels the most up for grabs as any in recent memory.
Absolutely. This season is fun, and I'm always rooting for an upset, no matter who it is. You could put my favorites on the floor, and if somebody could come in and take them out, I'm like, okay, that was good.
And upsets are really possible. I mean, even the bottom run teams, the teams that are likely not going to make the playoffs, have significant wins over a lot of the best teams in this league. So we're going to get back. I want to finish up here talking about some preseason trades. I know you had a couple on your mind that you wanted to talk about. I want to get your all-star pick, obviously, as we're heading into All-Star weekend. Stephanie's going to be with us in Indy this weekend. Can't wait. We'll talk about the story you have coming up as well. Back right after this, I'm Howard Megdal. You're listening to Locked On Women's Basketball. Howard Megdal here, Locked On Women's Basketball, joined by Stephanie Kaloi, who writes about everything for us. Just real quick, the thing you're going to talk to and write about for us on Thursday. Can you tease that a little bit? I'm so excited about that one.
The tournament?
Yeah.
It's actually Wednesday afternoon.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah.
It's between Elevate Indy. They are a group of high school coaches. They coach high school girls, and it's sponsored. I think it's in partnership with the Hoop Bus, which is a really cool project. They're based out in LA. I think they travel all over the world, putting on different basketball tournaments and contests, and I'm really looking forward to it. I love watching the high school game. I love seeing the kids out there. And just meeting community members, they're from Indy. They really believe in Indy. It'll be cool to see it happen.
It really will. I mean, if you're not in Indy this weekend, I can't even imagine what you're doing. It's going to be massive. I'm literally bringing my family. I want them to see what's going on as I am covering it, because it's just, Stephanie, it's come such a long way. It's
really
just
has.
when I covered the All-Star 10 years ago, and there was a game that was not sold out, and there was an open practice that was poorly promoted and nobody knew about it. And so you'd have just like random senior citizens wandering in at Mohegan Sun Arena. And like, that was it. And that was it. And it's just great to see. All right. I want to go back. Preseason trade regrets, excitement.
Yes.
Tell me what were the trades you're thinking of? I'm really curious about. Let's bat it around.
Well, first and foremost, I think we have to acknowledge that the DeWanna Bonner fever situation's probably the bottom of the list. Wasn't a good fit for everybody.
Yeah.
Obviously, her decision to go over to Phoenix was the right one. She's doing incredibly. We all know I'm an AT fan, and what the Mercury did in the preseason has blown my mind with Satu, with AT, because I had them kind of in the middle of the pack at the beginning of the season. I thought they'd be like, 5, 6, 7, somewhere. I thought it would take them longer to gel. I didn't see the team, and Kalia, she's hurt. I didn't know what was going to happen. I did not expect the pair of them. I think they combined for 40 points their first game. So to me, Phoenix won free. They won free agency. They won the trades.
Just remarkable, I have to say, to see two new teammates entirely unfamiliar with each other managing to have chemistry on the court. I mean, who could have imagined that DeWanna Bonner and Alyssa Thomas would be able to play so well together?
Absolutely. I love them because I feel like they truly have a mind meld. Like, they just read each other's minds. So I love watching them play together again.
I agree. It really is a huge pickup. And again, I don't think you can fault Indiana for this. But this was my biggest question coming in and at Media Day was, does DeWanna Bonner expect to start? Because there's a lot about what they do on the offensive end that revolves around having Lexi Hull in those key minutes. And so ultimately, I think it makes a lot of sense for them to play Lexi the way it had. I also think it's underrated to talk about the defensive impact that Lexi Hull has. A little number that I'm nerdy enough to care about is like Indiana's defensive rating now going into tonight's game against New York is 99.9. It means they are just a bit better than league average when it comes to defense and defensive efficiency right now. That was unfathomable last year. And again, that's the biggest reason that Stephanie White was brought in to coach this team. So fascinating to see that as well. I guess for me, the biggest one, and there's not a trade, right? This is, I guess it was a trade. It was a trade by way of another trade. But Natasha Cloud, when you think about if she had been in Connecticut, it wouldn't have made sense. And Connecticut now gets to play young players. We're getting to see more J.C. Sheldon. That is a team very much figuring out who they are. Putting Natasha Cloud as a veteran on this New York Liberty team. And Jackie Powell had a great story about her last month for us over at the Next. Just the fact that she was able to fit in right away. And, again, that is the hardest thing in this WNBA. And continuity is the absolute queen of the realm, So seeing her do what she did feels really significant to me. Ultimately, I think we're not going to know which one is a bigger deal until we get to October, but it's going to be fascinating to see.
Well, and to that end, Natasha is such a fit that I will forget she has not been on the Liberty for years. Like she is so flawlessly, to me, their entire brand, everything about that team she embodies.
You should the ads they have, the in-game ads alone for Natasha speaking in New York.
I know. I
during
need to get back up there. I
You
know.
got to see it because it really says it's like, oh, she's a lifelong New Yorker, even though, of course, and I will say this as a Cherry Hill, New Jersey native, we're very proud to say Natasha came from Philly. And
There you
so we'll never forget, and Natasha will never let anybody forget it either. Last thing before I let you go, Team Clark, Team Collier, neither one is what I would call an underdog. I don't think there's either team that's going to get to play the nobody believed in us card. They look really good. The head coaches, Sandy Brondello, Cheryl Reeve, young up and coming coaches, but I think they have a chance to do some special things in this league before they're said and done. Who you got? Who you got?
You know, it changes daily. You know, everything. I literally think about this every day. I keep wanting to go with Team Clark, but I think now that we've added Kayla, I just feel like Team Collier, like it's half the links basically is affiliated with this team. I think that chemistry is going to help them. But I do appreciate Caitlin drafting on vibes. And whenever Caitlin does anything on vibes, I feel like she's very successful. So she might, this might be a repeat of last year where I think a lot of people expected the Olympians to win everything and they got shut down. Like, I will not discount Caitlin Clark and whatever she was doing out there. I just feel like Nafisa's team is incredible, and I'd be really surprised to see them lose.
I will say this. We have never seen spacing like we're about to see with a team that has Sabrina and Caitlin Clark on the court at the same time. And I am fascinated to see that. Fee and Stewie on the same team.
Oh, gosh. I know.
Listen, the best college team I ever covered had Fee and Stewie on the same team, along with, about 6 other future WNBA pros in the 2016 UConn Huskies. Well, I'm with you. I think ultimately Team Collier probably wins this one. I will not be shocked if Team Clark wins it. And then
it's going to be a great game either way. Like,
I'm so excited.
Fireworks.
Here's the real question: who you got winning the 3-point contest?
I've been thinking about this all morning.
Yeah,
and I don't know. Like, everyone is stacked. Sonia and Kelsey, I think their 3-point percentages are crazy right now, like 36, 36.5. Alicia's going to be defending her title. Sabrina is Sabrina. And if Caitlin, she's had a little slump, but there's no way she'd be doing this if she didn't think she could do this. So
absolutely.
I really do not have an answer for you right now. Who do you have?
I got Sonia.
Sonia? Okay.
I'm going Sonia. She's going to come in and shock the world.
I hope so. I love a rookie upset. See, an upset. I would love it.
It would certainly be a shock to many. And it's hard. I mean, Sabrina's so good in this format, especially as we saw when she was taking on Steph Curry. That how do you bet against any of them? Kelsey Plum.
That's my problem. I'm like a house divided 5 ways. Like, these are all my favorite shooters. I don't know.
Just to be clear, when I say Sonia, this is not slander of the other 4.
You can like more than one player.
I'm telling you, we're going to normalize. That's right. Thank you so much. I made this point yesterday, right? That it is possible to have like a deep, abiding respect for the way Angel plays and the way Caitlin plays. It is not an either or.
It's foolish not to.
We don't live in a zero-sum universe for women's basketball, and it's a glorious time to do it. Well, thank goodness Stephanie Kaloi is here to tell all these stories. So glad you're here with us. Really excited to see you in Indy coming up this weekend. That's our show for today. Tomorrow, pure all-star. Natalie Heverin in the host chair, so you get an upgrade over me. And Tony East will be there talking about everything that's about to happen in Indy. And obviously be with us all weekend long for shorts, for mediums, for special shows, live from Indiana. We've got you covered. And oh man, wait till you see the written stuff coming over at the Next as well on every channel, every single way you can consume women's basketball. We are here for you. So thank you for making us your first listen every day. Now for your second listen, you can find something. And again, Stephanie, I don't know if you know about this, but there is now a basketball league, a pro basketball league for men. It's called the NBA.
I've heard of it. I'm not familiar.
And again, good on the Locked On folks, right? they've got even a show dedicated to them. Okay. So Doug, Matt, and Hayes keep you up to date on contract negotiations, rumors, and everything you need to be the most informed. Sorry, just my notes. NBA. I think I got that right. NBA fan. Find Locked On NBA on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Until then, I'm Howard Megdal, thanking you for making us your first listen every day. We will see you tomorrow.
You are Locked On Women's Basketball, your daily podcast on women's basketball. Part of the Locked On Podcast